Welcome to Air Race X. My name is Mike Spanky Galloway, and I'm going to be your host as we take you through the most exciting virtual air racing on the planet today. Gaining in popularity in Japan, but will be completely worldwide very soon. For pilots, they must fly a prescribed series of maneuvers when they compete at Air Race X. We have 8 Air Race X pilots in the 2024 season. Kiyoshi is one of the most popular, and he is going to be up against Martin Shanka very soon. Matt Hall from Australia, and of course, Nika Brajot. There's Juan Velarde from Spain, popular masterclass racers. They download the information, they go and fly the course at their home airport, and all that information is sent back to headquarters. Because the pilots fly these aircraft in differing environments, for an example, one person may be in Australia, the other person in South Africa, there's a handicap system. There they are downloading the information, the course that they're going to use. These tokens that they're given allow the pilots 10 days to practice and qualify for the ensuing race. Once the race is in the bag, we can go to augmented reality and you can see these aircraft flying together. Here is race 1. This is our first remote track. Again, all the pilots from around the world fly the exact same track. Look at the red airplane as it enters pylon A. That's the start finish. Quickly through the chicane. Then they have to go to pylon E. This is where things get very important. The pilots must make a 180-degree turning maneuver back through pylon B and the start finish into the next high turn. The minimum requirement on that is they must be at least 500 feet off the ground during the high turn. If they're not, they're assessed a penalty. Back through pylon E on the final push for home, the pilots must do a VRM, or vertical rolling maneuver. This allows the pilots to use strategy to gain an advantage over their competitors. We'll see that as the race unfolds. And that, my friends, is a remote race track number 1. Qualifying. Like we talked about, they have 10 days to qualify, and qualifying is important because it seeds you against your competitors. Yoshi Moroya won first place in qualifying, followed by Matt Hall and Martin Shanka. That gives them World Series points, and Yoshi already has an 8-point lead over the 4th through 8th competitors. We see them all seated in their best qualifying times, and you can tell that even though Yoshi was the fastest at 47.6, it's really pretty tight field, and they're all in the high 40s and the low 50s in terms of time. Patrick Davison, Emmett McDonald, and the others, you can see them, all 8 pilots flying the qualifying run right here. This is all the pilots together, merged together to show you exactly how fast they're going through the track. You can see that the pilots use different strategies as they go back through the start-finish line for the required high turn maneuver. Again, they must be a minimum of 500 feet, otherwise they'll be assessed a penalty. Coming in now to the vertical roll maneuver, the VRM. This is tricky. Watch as pilots use different strategies. They can go either direction they want, left or right, but they must finish back on the track through the start-finish gates. And there's Yoshi Moroya coming through as first place in qualifying. Oh, Yoshi. Okay, there are rules, and of course the number 1 rule is you can't exceed the speed limit. Speed limit's 200 knots. If you go over that, it's a 1-second penalty. You go over 203 and you're disqualified. The second rule, of course, is there are pylons. Granted, they're virtual. If you strike a pylon, it's a 3-second penalty, but you can carry on. Another important rule is the height rule. You must pass through the pylons. If you're too high, it's a 2-second penalty. Finally, you can't take an advantage by climbing through a pylon. That's a no-no. That also results in a 2-second penalty. And one of the most exciting parts of the race is the G-load. Yes, these pilots pull a lot of Gs, but if you exceed 12 Gs, sorry, that's a disqualification and your race doesn't count. All right, those are the results from qualifying, and we've got our pairings together in the quarterfinal. You can see Juan Velarde versus Martin Shanka. Peter Kopstein and Matt Hall are going to go at it. Kiyoshi and Mika Brageau. That ought to be a good race because those are two dissimilar aircraft. Finally, Patrick Davidson goes by Patty, flying against the rookie, Emma McDonald. The winners carry on to the semifinal, ultimately then to the final, and we declare our winner. This is race number 1 of Air Race X. Heat A is going to feature Juan Velarde and Martin Shanka. The one thing about Juan is that he is a very experienced pilot. There's Juan right there. Speak of him. Juan from Spain has been flying this Edge 540 for a number of years, along with this gentleman, Martin Shanka. Now, Martin's used to flying the extra aircraft, but he's going to have some learning curve to get into that Edge 540. Down in heat number Bravo, it's Patrick Davidson and Emma McDonald. Patty from South Africa normally flies the Gainberg airplane, but in this case, he's going to be flying the Edge 540. Emma McDonald, brand new rookie, she says she's very excited to compete in this Air Race X concept. Now, heat number C, Peter Kopstein and Matt Hall. These are two veterans. Even though all these airplanes must adhere to the same horsepower, the design differences, people say, can give you an advantage. There's Peter Kopstein and there's Matt Hall jumping into his airplane, getting ready for their turn on the track. The final pairing is Mika Brageau in the MX, the French pilot, versus Yoshi Moroya. I'm so hard on his last name. I apologize, Yoshi, but we're looking forward to watching you and Mika battle it out in Heat D. There's a good cockpit view of Yoshi. Now, he's downloading all this information. Remember, the track is the same for all the pilots. They may not be in the same location on planet Earth, but it is the exact same track. What they do is, if one person has a day that is a particular better day to fly, with density, altitude, moisture in the air, these type of things, temperature, they are going to be handicapped to a certain degree to make both pilots' performance the exact same on any given day. It'll all make sense as we watch the races unfold. There's the handicap system we were talking about. See the wind sock and the wind meters. That's very important. All that telemetry is sent back to headquarters and it's compared. Juan's weather conditions versus Martin Shanka's weather conditions, etc. And they use a handicap system to allow the planes to behave in the exact same atmosphere.
Air Race X 2024 Series Quarterfinal.
All right, so here we go. Our quarterfinal in Air Race 2024. Air Race X, looking very forward to seeing this.
Quarterfinal Heat A. Martin Shanka, Czech Republic.
I like the track a little better compared to the last year, as we have one gate more, so we have to maneuver much more. The pull-ups will be always challenging. Definitely the vertical one with the roll, that's probably the most challenging, as we are limited a little bit by the rules. We cannot see the gate just below us when we are pulling into the vertical. So this is something very challenging, but I love the track. It was great to fly the track.
Juan Velarde, Spain.
I think it was a really true competition because the differences between pilots were minimum, and as in a real time race, and I was very satisfied with the result.
It's all going to make sense the first time you see it. It's a new concept. It is completely revolutionary. You can see Martin Schanke has been given 0.291 seconds to his time. That's called the handicap time. You can see down at the bottom that Martin Schanke's conditions are slightly better. Okay, there they go, folks, through the start-finish gate, and they were both under the 200 knot mark. That's very good. Through the chicane, through gate echo. Wow, we saw a huge error there from Martin Schanke. He was only required to do a turn, but for some reason he gained an incredible amount of altitude. And you can see Juan Velarde's got quite an advantage on him. Unsure what Martin was thinking as they come and set themselves up for the second lap. Juan Velarde with a good 2-second advantage. That is a country mile in air race. There's that vertical rolling maneuver we were talking about, and now it's a sprint to the finish. Juan Velarde comfortably out front. He will easily move on to the semifinals. Give it up. Juan Velarde from Spain moves on to the semis. There's Juan, very happy with his performance. Of course he is. And they know in real time what their time is across the track. Martin Schanke, really, we're going to see, there it is, 48 seconds. That's very good. Anything under 50 seconds has been considered a good time on this particular racetrack. Martin Schanke, not bad at 49.9, but really the problem with Martin is he got way too high. We'll see it again here in the replay. Now, this is the augmented reality version. They're flying through a city for some odd reason, but nonetheless, they are. As he comes to his first important turning maneuver, watch the trailing plane, but he's not behind by much, the blue plane. Watch how high he goes. Makes no sense to me. I think, unfortunately, Martin may have gotten a little bit confused on exactly where the course was, and it cost him some valuable seconds. Yeah, there he is. Juan Velarde well ahead of Martin Schanke. The augmented reality course that you see right now, obviously, is kind of an interesting thing. It's in a hangar with a little fake city there. So I like it. I think it's cool. But you can have these airplanes fly anywhere. You can fly in Hawaii, in New York City, San Francisco, wherever you want them to fly. Coming back through the second pass through the race course, you're going to watch now the big vertical rolling maneuver. Right about here, they must roll greater than 315 degrees. Juan does that very well. And you can tell that Juan Velarde, the plane in front, is just a little bit faster in terms of pulling the airplane over the top. And there they go, folks. The final push for home. It's comfortable victory for the Spaniard. There's Martin's run time at 50 and change, but he does get that handicap that got him down to 49 in a little bit.
Quarterfinal, Heat B.
On to Heat B.
Patrick Davidson, South Africa.
It's pretty tight on the first lap, if that's the best way of explaining it. So you really have to be on your numbers to get the first lap correct. And then, to be honest with you, the first sort of lap running through all the pylons up to E, it dictates how the rest of the lap's going to go. So, yeah, it requires a lot of attention, a lot of planning. The wind plays a big factor as well. But I'm quite keen to give it a go.
Emma McDonald, Australia.
I haven't physically raced through pylons before, so not having pylons or having pylons, I haven't had an advantage or disadvantage in that way. So it's all new regardless for me. Obviously, it's the first official track that I've run, so I'm going to like it regardless. But the particular section I love the most is the chicane sort of part from the first gates, what you could call the first lap of the track. That's probably my favourite one because it's really, really rhythmic. So it's sort of like like you're doing a dance. So it's like music tune as you're going through the chicane.
Patrick Davidson on the left, Emma McDonald on the right. Wow, she gets quite a disadvantage on the handicap system. So plus 0.64, that's almost a full, over half of a second that she has to make up, considering the two conditions that they're flying. All right, here we go. There's a start to the race, clearly under 200 knots as they go through the chicane over to gate E. Also gate 4. It's just a turn, folks, that all they have to do is make that turn. You can see Emma pull over 10 Gs. That's always a good thing. The more Gs you pull, the more energy you waste. Although it's a very tight race right now, and now Patrick pulls 10 Gs, so they just can't quite understand. You don't want to pull too many Gs. All right, going back through the second time. There's gate number E, pulling up for the VRN, the vertical rolling maneuver. Both pilots, well done. Emma, very nice as she pulls a nice round loop coming back over the top. It's going to be a sprint to the finish, folks. This could be a photo. Patty gets it by a nose. Let's take a look at the final results. Boy, what great times. Remember, anything under 50 seconds is considered excellent. Looks like these two pilots were well under that 50-second mark. There goes Patty, and there she is. Folks, that is extremely close. Oh, my gosh. No penalty points. Emma gets handicapped with her handicap basically cost her the race. So 48 flat versus 48.3. How close do you like it, race fans? That's what air race is all about right there. Patrick Davidson safely on to the semis, and let's watch this replay again. They come in at 200 knots, right where they're supposed to be. They are neck and neck at this point. Negotiating the chicane. Actually, Emma has a slight lead at this point, but remember, she has that handicap because her atmospheric conditions are a little bit more improved than Patrick's when they're actually flying in reality. Coming along the turn, now that's how you make a turn, folks. If you saw that race before, Martin Shanka got high. That's what cost him his race, but both of these pilots flying at a very good altitude. Clearly through those pylon gates, no problem, no penalties. Now here's the high turn. They must be 500 feet minimum altitude when they make the high turn. Patrick going just a little bit higher than Emma. Great action as we see both pilots back through gate number 2 with Emma slightly in the lead. And it comes down to the vertical rolling maneuver. This is it here. She's at 33.8. He's at 35 and change. He is majorly caught up to Emma at this point. And then you can clearly see Patrick pulling the airplane over the top and gaining that advantage as they're rolling downhill in a final sprint to the finish. This was a tight race, and this was all about the maneuvering in those turns. It always is an air race. This is what it's all about right here, a total finish. All right, folks, so we have 2 heats of 4 completed.
Take 2, take 3. How did you do that? Haha! Arigatou gozaimasu! Very good!
陽気でクールなフレンチパイロットミカ・ブラジョー。11歳の時空の世界と出会い、それ以来空と共に生きてきた彼にとって2019年のエアレース終了は心に大きな空洞を残した。そして2023年彼は一通のメールを受け取ることになる。
I mean, when I got the email and the call for the Air Race 6 organization coming up with the projects of real and virtual racing was something really exciting because we were sitting in the hangar with the race plane ready and finally something showed up. So yeah, you know, we are passionate about flying, racing, and as soon as we can put everything into a performance thing, it's all in. So yeah, we were super happy.
ARSX がリアルなコンペティションの世界で生きてきたパイロットたちに求めたものは何だったのか。
ARSX is a different concept from what we knew before, what we were doing before, with physically pylons in the track. We had to readapt ourselves to change our mindsets and fly with markers on the ground. But it's a different visualization because you have different objects on ground, not obstacles, but you have still to be precise on your path, fast on your lines, and make everything like normal without the pylons. But at the end, when you pass this finish gate and you get your instant results of what you've been doing in the track, it's like, okay, I was racing, and then run after run, it becomes like normal at the end of the flying session. So ARSX is an air race.
ARSX に参戦するのは卓越した空間認識能力を誇る世界のトップパイロットたち。リアルとバーチャルの融合フォーマットではあるが、そこには本物のトップアスリートとそれを支えるチーム、そしてハイパフォーマンスを発揮する本物のレースマシーンが存在している。リアルスポーツの確かな骨格があり、それを時空を超えてエキサイティングに見せる仕組みが ARSX の魅力になっている。
We are on the way of this with a really efficient but simple system that works pretty well in a track. So yeah, I think the future will be there to join everyone and make again the racing atmosphere and spirit back together on the same side, racing against the clock. Everyone aiming at the same goal, on the same side, you get the full experience and excitement of the sport.
再びレーシングスピリットに火がついたフレンチパイロットは、あのキリキリするようなコンペティションの空気感を今 ARSX でのフライトで存分に楽しんでいた。
Provide them the best of the race for them to feel the race atmosphere. We are doing our best. We are flying fast, as clean as we can, to provide the best timings, and then we just have to make them feel like they are with us. And if we can share everything together worldwide, pilots, spectators, fans, teams, everyone, that would be like something amazing.
Quarterfinal, Heat C. Petrokopstein, Czech Republic.
Yeah, we had a lot of work on the airplane. So yeah, just preparing for the season. There's a kind of a chicane which was missing last year. But I like this track more than last year, I would say. The first turn that you're returning back from, I think it's gate 5 to 6. With the winds we have right now, it's kind of tricky also, but that's my favorite.
Matt Hall, Australia.
Been growing the team, so the team's getting bigger, and obviously we've got more involvement in air race this year from Emma's her own independent team, but obviously part of our team moving forwards.
Some people like the winglets, others don't. You can see Matt Hall is handicapped, and it's basically 0.6 of a second is going to be added to his time due to the atmospheric anomalies of the two race courses. All right, here we go. They are set to start. Looking in the corner. Oh, 200 knots right on the money. Woo, these guys are going at it. No penalties. You have to be over 200 knots. 201, technically. You're going to be okay in terms of penalty. It should be penalty-free, but again, they were going right at it. And this is kind of unusual right here. They're both flying very well, but Matt Hall is just running away with it. Very interesting. There's no requirement which way to turn, and Peter Kochstein made a left-hand turn. I'm not so sure that was the way to go. Here comes the vertical rolling maneuver. Now they're back on track. Peter Kochstein may have cost him the race on that strange left-hand roll. It's perfectly legal, But here again, there's Matt Hall well ahead of Peter Kostin. Let's take a look at the final results. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, 46.221. That could be a track record well faster than the previous qualifying rounds of the 47 and 48 and change. 46.018 with his handicap. Oh, and Peter did get that 2-second penalty. Yeah, I wasn't too sure. They gave him a 2-second penalty for flying too high. All right. Well, there's our first penalty, and that shows you that it's really impossible to come back from a penalty during a race. But 46.018 seconds, that has got to be a track record. What a fantastic. Let's watch it again. Here in our augmented reality, coming in through the start finish, here they are right at 200 knots. There's a little bit of grace period, so no penalties there. They're coming through the chicane very nicely. Pretty much neck and neck. But here's where things get interesting. This turn, there's no requirement. You just have to make a 180-degree turn. Looks like Peter's pulling too hard on the stick. You pull too hard on the stick and you're going to climb, and he just could not make or keep that radius. It's very difficult to do when you pull that hard, asking that much of your airplane. So far penalty-free. Here's Matt Hall coming through. And then Peter Kostin coming through the start-finish line. And Peter decides to go to the left and Matt back to the right. This is where Peter cannot make that gate. Remember, you have to pass through the pylons at the correct altitude. We can't quite see it here, but Peter was unable to do that. That's a 2-second penalty. And I attribute that to simply turning, I wouldn't say the wrong way, but turning in a sense that it made it almost impossible for him to get back down to the correct altitude. Vertical turning maneuver, vertical rolling maneuver rather. They must roll 315 degrees or greater. And here they come, sprint to the finish. Matt Hall, blistering speeds. And of course, we know the result here is a great replay, 46, almost 46 flat. Well done, well on to the semifinals for Matt Hall. Peter Kostin's race day is over.
Quarterfinal, Heat D. Yoshimuroya, Japan.
We are racing remotely, so it's a different, environment we are racing. But as a pilot, I feel really the same as before. We are gathering together and do the racing in one place. The environment is different, but as a pilot point of view, it's very same. So I hope all the pilot feel the racing feeling, and the competition, hard competition, but it's really fun competition for everybody.
Mika Brajo, France.
The goal is to be the best of myself, and we see what it gives us on the timesheets and results. We are all racing against the clock, and even if we are remotely positioned all around the world, we are all aiming to be fast in the track with the electronic system on board and make the results.
Right, it's pretty much the handicaps are almost even, just a slight disadvantage to Yoshi. But not by much, so basically call this even Steven here as they come in. All right, let's see how we do. Yoshi versus Mika. Are those green numbers up at the top corner? Yes, well within our 200 knot range. So far, so good. Boy, they're neck and neck. This is a critical one. You got to make that good turn. Good decisions here. And Yoshi just yanks it around there. He just gains an advantage as they come back into the start-finish line. This is again the high turn. You must be 500 feet. They are. For some reason, it looks like well, they're still neck and neck, folks. They are neck and neck going into the vertical rolling maneuver. Still neck and neck. But Yoshi takes a slight advantage on the downline. It's going to be a sprint to the finish. Again, this is going to be very close. Got to see the final results as they come through. It looks like Yoshi's first. Let's call it. Waiting for the final results. Very close race. Remember, we have to add in any penalty points that can be assessed. I didn't see any penalties. Not to say that there wasn't one. And it is Yoshi at 48.2. 0 penalties for both pilots. Mika Peugeot had a great race, but it just wasn't enough. Look at their raw run times, just basically a second apart. But the handicap system did help Yoshi slightly. Here they are one more time going through the augmented reality race course. Neck and neck. Let's see if we can find out where Yoshi won the race. I wouldn't necessarily say Mika lost the race. It was very well flown by both pilots. Both racers were outstanding. Good turning radius here. Remember, there's no requirements on this. This is not a high turn or a low turn. It's just a turn. But obviously you don't want to go too high just to scrub off energy, like way back when we saw Martin Shanka in that first heat. He went way too high. Now coming in through the start-finish line, they're going to set up for the required high turn maneuver. They must get to 500 feet. Look how close this race is. This is neck and neck. The excitement of Air Race X is really unbelievable. And it's particularly interesting because they're not even anywhere near each other in reality. One's flown in France, the other's in Japan. But everything with all this data and all the technology, we're able to simulate this in real time. And it's extremely fair. You can see again, they're basically neck and neck. It comes down to the VRM, the vertical turning maneuver. And I can tell you right there, I had to see it on replay. Now I see what happened. Yoshi's roll rate was simply that much quicker than Mika. He simply got the airplane rotated that 315 degrees or greater quicker than Mika, and that allowed him to get back on course and go to the finish line. I'll tell you, it's so tight, you have to kind of really look at these replays to see where the race was won or lost. Great job by that gentleman right there. Not bad at all. Remember, we said anything in that 50-second range is very, very respectable, but not enough. How about another pilot story?
Well, my father was an airline pilot, and very passionate about sports aviation and general aviation as well. So since I was a kid, it was clear to me that I wanted to fly.
スペインを活動拠点にするティーン・ヴェラーデ。ファン・ヴェラーデはエアレーサーでもあり、エアラインパイロットでもある。彼にとってエアレース X のチャレンジングな取り組みと革新的なレースフォーマットはこれまでの常識を飛び越え、自らの能力を拡張する存在となっている。
Yeah, for me it was the most surprising of it. I think the investment in technology that is behind this project is amazing, and finally, as I said, the differences between pilots are tenths of a second, maybe hundreds of a second sometimes, like in a real race. So the technology involved is amazing. An air race pilot, I focus in taking attention to every detail involved in racing. So my flying technique, the flight analysis, which is really important, and also the teamwork. I think those are, I would say, those are my strengths and the team strengths. Yeah, for me, air racing is the maximum expression of flying technique. So you really have to do your best. You have to put everything you have in order to navigate that track as fast as possible, and every detail is important. So you have to be at your 120% every time, and that's what I love about it. Yeah, it's very demanding, but also very rewarding.
ファン・ヴェラーデイにとって空を飛ぶことやエアレース X に参戦することにはどんな意味があるのだろうか。そしてそのために彼はどのような意識で操縦桿を握っているのだろうか。
Flying without real pilots, it makes our life more difficult. So the flying technique as well is a little bit different because it's easier to come into the gates with what we call bank, leaning the wing of the airplane to see the marks in the ground. We don't see the pylons, but we know where the marks are, and we have to look for them. And still, the reaction is really quick because we have to change the direction of the airplane every 2 seconds. So it's just 200 meters apart. We are getting used to this type of flying, and at least in the few flights I've done so far, I've been feeling much more comfortable than in the first edition. So I'm pretty sure the audience could see that difference because we're flying faster, we're doing better flights, so probably the competitiveness of this competition is going to grow up and go and get higher and higher.
チームタクティシャンのミゲルはこう続けた。フライトのこうした高精度のデータ解析は次のフライトの改善に役立つだけではありません。かつては補足できていなかった詳細なデータは新たな戦い方やそのための機体開発などチームとしての進化に大きな力をもたらしています。世界のトップパイロットの経験や予測能力、トップチームのデータ解析力をもってすれば見えないパイロンすら見えてくる。エアレス X のフォーマットは最高峰のパイロットたちにさらなる能力拡張を促し、その可能性を広げているのかもしれない。そしてもちろんその翼を支えるチームワークにもかつてない進化をもたらしている。
Air Race X 2024 Series Semifinal.
All right, now we're ready to the semifinals in heat number A, Matt Hall and Juan Velarde.
Semifinal, Heat A.
Both had outstanding quarterfinal runs. Matt Hall is going to be handicapped, however. 0.621 added to his time due to atmospheric differences. And here we go, right at it. There's the entry through the start-finish gate. Great speeds, almost exactly. Just under 200 knots, no penalties there. Very clean through the chicane. Through gate number E, this is a turn. It's just a turn. It doesn't have any requirements on altitude. Looking again very, very close as they come through. Weird that Juan Velarde made kind of a straight. Oh, yeah, there we go. This is the high turn. Mandatory 500 feet, and Juan Velarde, see him now coming back behind Matt Hall. Unsure what his strategy was, but it's still looking very close. Great VRM. Oh, no. Juan Velarde overrolled. That's going to cost him the race. Here comes Matt Hall. Down to the finish. Great run. Both pilots flew very well. It's just going to be Matt Hall's day. Another 46 and change. He's absolutely destroying this field in that MX. Look at him. Live view. There's Matt through the gates, and then there's Juan. Both flew very good. 48 seconds for Juan. That is an outstanding time. Sadly, he had to go up against Matt Hall in the semifinal. You're just not going to beat 46 seconds, folks. That is just outstanding flying by both pilots. But Matt Hall is on a real mission here in race number 1 of remote racing. We'll take a look at the replay here in just a second, and we'll kind of break down where things went right and where things went wrong for both pilots. Now, they both started out outstanding. 200 knots, just under, no penalties. That's exactly where you want to be. Setting themselves up for the chicane, no problem. They're basically neck and neck, no doubt about it. Coming through gate E, this is where they must make a turning maneuver. They're going to turn to go back through the course to go through gate Bravo, or I say the second gate. Again, right neck and neck. No real advantage by one pilot or the other at this point. Now they're going to set themselves up for something very important. It's the high turn. They must go to 500. Look at the times, almost exactly the same right there. They must go to 500 feet and make the turn back onto the course. There's Juan on our left. He's doing it low, which is good. But Matt Hall is taking and transferring that high altitude energy into speed as they go into the final push for the VRM. And folks, this is where it happens. This is why this course is so difficult. And this vertical rolling maneuver is very disorienting. Watch Matt. He's going to roll the airplane and stop right on heading. Look at Juan. He rolls, continues to roll too far, and now has to roll back onto the course. He simply over-rolled the airplane, and that was the difference in the race. Nice sprint to the finish here. But at this point, it's academic. It is Matt Hall, your winner, carrying on to the finals in race 1 of remote racing here at Air Race X.
Semifinal, Heat B.
Okay, on to semifinal number 2 is going to be Patrick Davidson, our quarterfinal winner, versus Yoshi Moroya, flying 2 separate types of airplanes. Yoshi, very, very skilled in that Edge 540. He chooses to have the winglets on, as most pilots do. Those little pointy things at the end of the wing tend to disrupt or, how do I say, dumb down the wingtip vortices that creates drag. You don't want drag when you're trying to go fast. That's what that's all about. Basically, the handicaps are about even. So, Yoshi has a little bit of time added to his run, but basically, when you're talking a quarter of a second, I would call that almost even. That's a good thing. It shows that the handicap system does indeed work. Okay, here they go through the start gate. Check a look at our speeds. Well within 200, so we're fine there. Okay, not looking too bad. Pretty close as they go into the first turn. Oh, he got pushed out a little bit. Patrick Davidson got pushed out. He didn't pull enough G. Unlike Patty, he normally does pull a lot of G. Again, they're very close, though. He's made it up. Coming into that high turn, he must go to 500 feet, and they both do. Man, this is neck and neck again. Air Race X does reside inside, no doubt about that, as they come into the final maneuver, the vertical rolling maneuver, VRM. They must roll. Both of them did outstanding rolls. Now they're back to upright. Although Patrick got a little behind the power curve. At the very last second, he lost where he was. And there is your sprint to the finish. Yoshi has pulled it off one more time. Let's look for the official results. There's Patty. He knows he flew well, but he also, I know him very well. He knew, yeah, there's that, that smile on his face. That very last vertical maneuver, he got himself in position and then had to make an adjustment. I think he lost where he was on the track. We'll see it in the replay, but there it is. Yoshi through the finish line first. Clearly, and you think about it, the race was much closer than that. No penalties is a good thing. Race time, this is the official time, 47. That's outstanding time, but that's not fast enough to beat Matt Hall. Matt Hall's been flying quick. So we're going to see Yoshi and Matt in the finals. Patrick with a very respectable 48 and change on his race run. Take a look at it again. So they're basically neck and neck, 200 knots coming through, no problem. This is our AR course, augmented reality. They are basically neck and neck. No errors. They're flying the exact same course. I want to remind everyone, they're flying the exact same sequence, the exact same course, just in different parts of the world. And they're looking at markers on the ground to simulate these pylons. Here they come through one more time. Completing lap number 1. Through gate B to the start-finish gate. Now, this is a required turn. It must be a high turn. It must be a minimum of 500 feet. And you can tell by their split times, they're basically dead even. But this is where it happens. It always happens on the last half of the race. Someone makes an error or someone does something so outstanding to gain that half-second or quarter-second advantage. Coming through now to the final Gate E vertical roll maneuver, VRM. Both pilots do an outstanding job of getting to the vertical, and they do good aileron rolls. They're perfect. See how there's no additional rolling. But look at the trailing airplane. Patrick is lost. He can't find the pylon on the ground, so he has to slow down just a little bit. Oh, there it is. But it's too late. When he finally finds that pylon, remember, they must go through the pylon or they're not going to finish the race. It's just not enough. See how Patrick's taking a little bit of an angle? He just got slightly confused, just a little bit, on that last vertical rolling maneuver. Okay, so there it is. The final has been set. Matt Hall Racing versus Yoshi Moroya.
Yoshi Muroya 2023年に開幕したエアレース X 渋谷を舞台に繰り広げられたレースで初代チャンピオンのトロフィーを手にした。
予選タイム見て分かる通り本当に僅差なので、いろんな駆け引きが各チームあるし、我々ももちろん考えている。かなり機体多分いじって速くなってきてるみたいなので、ここら辺すごくね気が抜けない感じになってきてますね。
2024年は各チームも新フォーマットに適用し、より接戦となることが予想される。
レースの技術チームが今も入っていてバックアップをしてくれているので、レースとしては結構アドバンテージを持って進められてるんじゃないかなと思ってます。
速く飛ぶための改善点はいくらでもある。チームは機体の改良と作戦のアップデートに余念がなかった。
まず最初にやはり万全を期してますが、正直なところ最初はドキドキ、
もう緊張でしかないですね。
タイムというよりかは無事に戻ってきてほしいと。
今までやってきたことが良かったのかどうかっていう心配が一気に込み上げてくるんですけど、
エアレースは一人では戦えない。見えないパイロンとそこにいないライバルを相手に、空と地上が一つになって1000分の1秒を削り取っていく。
ダントツで1位になってくれといつも願いながら見てます。
迫力がね、
音がす
ごい良かった。かっこよかったです。
空の F1 ですね。
毎日ね多くの人が遊びに来てくれて見てくれたんで、とても良かったと思います。レース楽しんでもらえたらいいですね。最後一押しいただいて勝ちに行きたいなと思います。
Air Race X 2024 Series Final.
All right, here we are set for the final of race number 1, remote racing. Matt Hall and Yoshi Moroya. Now, the handicap is a little bit here. Matt Hall has to add 0.411 seconds to his time. But remember, Matt Hall has been laying down some blistering times throughout the semifinals and the quarterfinals. There they go. No problem on the entry speeds as they come in through the chicane portion. Kind of close, yeah, close. Not too sure what happened here, as Yoshi got a little high on just that turn. It's just a regular turn. There's no altitude requirements, but there is here. They must be 500 feet above, and they both are. Rolling back out to gates number 2, 3, and 4, or B, C, or D, and E. Here we go, the final gate. Vertical turn maneuver. Good turn by Matt Hall. Oh, and Yoshi, what happened there? It looks like he got into some type of possible, I don't know what. We'll take a look at that in the replay. Something happened to Yoshi. He's certainly going to get some penalties here. We'll break this down for you in just a moment, but Matt Hall is your winner unless there's some egregious penalty that he takes. 58 seconds for Yoshi. What went wrong? We'll have to see this in the replay. There's Matt Hall, live cockpit view. He doesn't know yet, but he will be informed that he will be our winner of Air Race X, race number 1. our remote racing. There's Matt Hall through the finish line. Where's Yoshi? They were next to each other, and here he comes, and there's another penalty strike there. Oh my gosh. 8 seconds of penalties for Yoshi, but it wouldn't have mattered because he would have had a run time of 51.232, nowhere near Matt Hall's 47.32, with his handicap of 47.14, absolutely destroying the field here at race number 1. When we go to the replay, let's see if we can figure out what happened to Yoshi Moroya. He was doing so well. They were neck and neck. But at the end of the day, it is Matt Hall from Australia. Matt Hall Racing. Here we go. Okay, let's see what happened. They come through the start-finish. Everything looks great for both pilots. They are neck and neck under the 200 knot requirement. No penalties yet. Coming through the first chicane. That's what it was. Okay, so Yoshi struck the pylon. That's a 3-second penalty. Couldn't see it in real time. It happened so fast, but that's what happened. There's a 2-second penalty for Yoshi for being way too high over that pylon. In real time, I remember commenting, why is he so high? And that's what happened. He decided to pull up too prematurely. That's a 2-second penalty. And at this stage, it's just academic. Of course, Matt Hall doesn't know this, but Yoshi, there's no catching up from a 5-second penalty amount at this point. Back over the high turn. Now, this is where it gets interesting. As you can see, Yoshi's clearly behind Matt. So Matt's having a good run. But something happens here on the VRM for Yoshi, and I think I know what it is. Watch now as Yoshi, remember they are flying in dissimilar environments, and I know for a fact it's a little windy where Yoshi's flying. Watch him as he rolls. He's the second pilot to roll, and then he climbs. I think he got into some wind shear, folks. That is exactly what happened. See how high he got? He's into some wind shear now. He has to recognize the course. It's just unfortunate for Yoshi because he was flying so well. Matt comes through the finish line well ahead of Yoshi. And Yoshi, just to add insult to injury on the last pass, looks like he strikes the finish line pylon. And that's going to be another 3-second penalty. Yep, he went right through the pylon. You can see it on the left in the VR. That smoke trail cannot be on the opposite side of the pylon. Well, there you have it, folks. Air Race 1 is in the books. Great effort by all. And the important thing is the World Series points. Yoshi had that 8-point bonus for being a top qualifier. Well, there we go. There are your race results. Matt Hall, Yoshi, Juan Velarde, great job. Patrick Davidson, Emma, beating Mika Brzezo. And rounding out the bottom are 2 Czech Republic pilots, Martin Schanke and Peter Kopstein. They are not going to be happy with that. Surprised to see those 2 very formidable competitors down at the bottom, but it is just our first race, and that is how it ends. Matt Hall is your champion. Race number 95 in the MX aircraft. Matt Hall Racing is your winner. Yoshi comes in second, and well done for the Spaniard, Juan Velarde. He had a really good really good run of this race number 1 here at Air Race X, our 2024 series. So those are your podium finishers. Congratulations to all those that made the podium, but especially Matt Hall. So there you are, recapping one more time. Matt Hall, Yoshi Moroya, Juan Velarde on our podium, and the rest of the field. Patty having a good job from South Africa, Emma McDonald, Mika Brzezo, Martin Schanke, and Peter Kopstein rounding out the field. Again, they're all trying to build up World Series points. There's more races to come. We'll break that down and tell you about that in just a moment. Hopefully you enjoyed our remote round race number 1. Very exciting. You know, it's a unique concept that we have here, and I am very, very excited to be part of it. There's one more time the replay. Oh my gosh. We're going to show the VRM. Yeah, this was the tough one here. Yoshi just got involved in something that looks like some type of wake turbulence or wind shear. Right here, you can see the nose pitching up and out course direction. That is something egregious. It's certainly not pilot error. It was probably due to the atmospheric conditions that he raced at. But hey, that's what it's part of. I mean, nothing is perfect. And here comes Yoshi finally one last time through the start finish. And sadly, you can see that smoke trail on the left. He is hitting the pylon. So anyway, all right, overall point standings. Hall with 30 points, Yoshi with 26. So see, you can see it's a tight race. Juan with 15 points, no problem with him. And Patrick with 12 points. I'll tell you what, all of those people are well positioned to move up in the overall series points. Anyone with 10 points or less is going to be tough. All right, you will see me again, Mike Spanky Galloway, as your host for race number 2, September 15th. I can't wait to see it. This is Air Race X. My name is Mike Galloway. I'm out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day.